Dan here again from EnGenius Technologies. Today, I'm going to be walking you through setting up an EnGenius dual band access point. First, we'll power up the device by plugging it into the power adapter that comes with the package. You can alternatively plug it into a PoE switch directly via Ethernet cable. What we'll need to do is change the computer's LAN port settings by going to Network Connections, Ethernet Connection, right-clicking and going to Properties, and changing the TCP IP4 settings, going to Properties, and changing it from obtaining an IP address automatically to using a static IP address. We like to use 192.168.1.10. Now that the computer's IP address has been set, we can now go to the browser. We'll go to 192.168.1.1, which is the default IP address of all EnGenius access points. The default username and password is admin and admin. Let's now go to the wireless section. The 2.4 GHz band is notoriously busy. Interference is your biggest issue, whether it be from neighbors or from self-interference when you have multiple access points. Therefore, we need to first change the channel bandwidth setting to 20 MHz only. Although you do lose some overall speed this way, it is still never recommended to use the 40 MHz setting on 2.4 GHz. Next, you will need to choose a channel. You do not want to leave this setting on auto. You will need to pick the best of 3 channels 1, 6, or 11. Do not pick the other channels. The other channels are considered overlappers, while they actually overlap onto the commonly used 1, 6, and 11 channels. Using the scan feature, look at all the other wireless networks in the area. Find one of the 3 channels, 1, 6, or 11, that are unused or is weakest. If those channels are already being used, you will still have to use one of them. But find the one that has the weakest signal on it and use that one. This will be your best choice. Another thing you will need to set is power. You do not want to leave this setting on auto either. Instead, change it to a fixed value. I suggest 20 dBm. That is 100 milliwatts. If you change it to a higher setting, it may be okay for a single AP deployment, but if you have lots of APs, then you are going to cause issues for clients not knowing when to properly roam to the next AP. Also, it can give you a false sense of coverage because devices like iPhones are very weak, like around 13 dBm or 20 milliwatts, and Wi-Fi communications are bidirectional. We will need to name this wireless network. Let's change this to EnGenius 1. Next, we will need to set the security. In a non-enterprise deployment, the preferred setting is WPA2 AES PSK pre-shared key. Go ahead and enter in something good that is at least 8 characters long. For this example, we are entering trust no one. Next, I will need to do similar settings for the 5 GHz band. I am going to make the SSID and security exactly the same as it is on the 2.4 GHz band, so I could also utilize band steering. Note, if you want band steering to work, you have to make the SSID exactly the same as you did for the 2.4 GHz band. More on what band steering is later. We will set the channel bandwidth to 40 MHz and 80 MHz if 802.11ac. So in this case, we will leave the default setting on 80 MHz. Let's now search for other networks and find the best channel. 5 GHz has many more channels, so finding a clear channel is easier. Again, you don't want to leave this on auto. Now we can set the power level. Again, not leaving that on auto either. Let's set this to 23 dBm, which is equivalent to 200 milliwatts. We want to set the power a few dB higher on 5 GHz because 5 GHz doesn't go as far as 2.4 GHz. Therefore, we can match the coverage, making the cell coverage similar for both bands. Now let's enable band steering. This will cause the AP to slow down its reply to connection requests on 2.4 GHz while maintaining immediate responses to requests on 5 GHz. This statistically increases the odds that dual band capable client devices will connect to the faster 5 GHz band. Set security to be the same and save. Now let's change the username and password of this device. Last but not least is changing the IP address of the unit itself. We do not want to leave it at 192.168.1.1. We will have to change it to a different static IP address on the network. The network IP address is 192.168.0.1, and the DHCP range is 192.168.0.100 through 192.168.0.220. So in this case, I'm going to pick an IP address of 192.168.0.20, so it will be outside the DHCP IP range of the router. Let's save. Now that the AP has been configured, let's connect the AP's Ethernet cable to one of the LAN ports of the router. This also could be a port off a network switch. Now I will go back and change my computer to DHCP to obtain an IP address automatically. Now that we have done that, I can connect my computer to the network. It will also be able to access the AP by going to the IP address of the AP now at 192.168.0.20 while on the same network. Next, I want to make sure my devices are able to connect and use this new access point. Here it is, EnGenius 1. Go ahead and connect. I'll put in my security key. Thank you for joining EnGenius's Tech Talk. Be sure and check out our other videos. Thank you.